No portion of the reserve fund or income thereof shall accrue to the general fund of the national government or any of its agencies or instrumentalities, including government-owned or controlled corporation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this the first time, last year, was it the first time that GOCCs or any government agency for that matter were required to review and reduce their respective reserve funds for the purpose of producing funds to be transferred to the National Treasury?
As far as I know, this is the first time, Your Honor.
All right. So, would you agree that in so doing, review and reduce their respective reserve funds? Okay. The PhilHealth specifically reopened the closed books. Its closed books in 2021, 2022, and 2023.
Your Honor, I am not really very sure about the technical meaning of reopening one's books. But as far as I know, based on that provision of the special provision 1D, Chapter 43, on the unprogrammed appropriations, what is simply required is for the GOCCs to review and reduce to a reasonable level their reserve funds on the basis of their historical disbursements over the past few years, 3 years to be more specific.
Yes, Mr.
So it's a matter of
General.
simply looking at the data pertaining to their annual disbursements for 2021, 2022, and 2023.
All right. And because of this review, the PhilHealth was able to reduce its reserve funds for these 3 years. And it is those funds that the PhilHealth transferred to the Bureau of Treasury.
No, Your Honor. They computed the reasonable amount of reserves based on actual disbursements for the past 3 years. And the remainder is the one that was used as basis for determining the amount to be remitted back to the National Treasury.
So do you mean to say, Mr. Solicitor General, that for 2021, there was an excess reserve funds?
Excess of reserve funds?
Funds, yes.
I would say that, excess of reserve funds in relation to what, Your Honor?
Reserve funds are specifically earmarked to answer or cover payments
Yes,
of
Your
the
Honor.
claims of beneficiaries. And if there is an excess, to fund programs that will ultimately reduce the financial responsibilities of the beneficiaries. And third, if there's still excess in the excess, to invest the same. So, Mr. Solicitor General, in 2021, was there excess reserve funds?
Your Honor, if we are going by the definition of reserve fund under Section 11 of the Universal Health Care Act, that reserve fund is determined by the actuarial computation.
Yes, Mr. Solicitor General, I have no quarrel with that. My point is, was there excess funds in 2021 coming from the reserve funds of PhilHealth?
Yes, the answer to that question is yes, Your Honor.
Section 11 tells PhilHealth what to do with the excess funds.
Exactly, Your Honor.
Doesn't it? Yes?
No, Your Honor, there is no violation. Because that responsibility on the part of PhilHealth to make use of any excess over the reserve fund for the twin purposes of increasing benefit packages and reducing the contributions from the members is something that can be implemented within the period of 10 years. It's not something that has to be implemented immediately. So in other words, even if we have that special provision 1D, it does not mean that the obligations of PhilHealth to spend the excess over its reserve fund has been abandoned, because that is something that can be complied with at some future time. It's
At some future time.
It's a 10-year period of implementation, Your Honor.
This is the sixth year.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you have not started with the programs yet, because according to you, the excess funds may be devoted for other purposes. Because anyway, the timeline is 10 years.
No, Your Honor, there is no inconsistency, because as we speak, PhilHealth has been increasing its benefit packages even before Special Provision 1D came into effect. And more so after that provision, special provision, was enacted as part of the unprogrammed appropriations.
Yes, Mr.
We have seen a
Solicitor
slew of benefit increases over the past several months, Your Honor.
Several months, not only. Several months only.
But
when PhilHealth is required to do it from the time it has been created under UHCA.
That is very true, Your Honor.
Yes.
But this is a matter which is reserved to the Board of Directors of PhilHealth.
Yes.
This is a management
A
thing.
management and a business judgment. But then, the judgment of PhilHealth to disperse its funds is limited by Section 11. That reserve funds, as it is named, is reserved and cannot be subject to the discretion of PhilHealth to be used for another purpose.
We are referring, Your Honor, to the excess over the reserve fund.
Yes, but the excess is also subject to the provision of Section 11. And Section 11 mentions the purposes for which this excess should have been used.
Yes, Your Honor. Let me discuss the second purpose, which is to reduce the contributions of the members. In our opinion, Your Honor, that is something that PhilHealth itself cannot do at the moment. There is no mechanism provided under the Universal Healthcare Act that would authorize the reduction at this time of the contributions from the members. What we see in the Universal Healthcare is a schedule of the premium rates from 2019 down to 2025. But after 2025, there's nothing there. And there is neither any provision for a reduction of the contributions rates, the premium rates. So it is our opinion, Your Honor, that legislative action is necessary to bring down the contribution premium rates.
Right? That is your opinion, Mr. Solicitor General.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. But this court's, my reading is this. This is self-executing. And it is PhilHealth that must execute it because the law is in place already. All right. All right. When funding unprogrammed appropriations, how does Congress determine where to get the funds and which appropriations to realign?
Your Honor, under Special Provision 1D, there are various sources of funds, such as excess of revenue collections over the targets, or new revenues, whether these are tax or non-tax. There are foreign loans approved, which might also go into the pool, and finally, this new additional source.
And excess reserve funds.
Excess
Reserve funds.
No, it's called
As a result,
fund balance.
Yes,
Your Honor.
as a result of the review and reduction scheme.
To reasonable levels
Yeah.
of
To
their
reasonable level
reserve funds.
is discretionary. It has no fixed standard. All right.
There are
So-
guidelines, Your Honor, set by the Department
Yes.
of Finance for determining the computation of what should be a reasonable level.
Yes. According to the DOF, the funds to be remitted to the National Treasury will finance urgent national projects. In Annex A of your compliance, dated November 8, 2024, pages 1 to 4, the OSG enumerated some of these projects, including routine maintenance of national roads, the Panay-Guimaras Negros Island Bridges, or the PGN Bridges project, and payment of right-of-way. These are all construction projects, Mr. Solicitor General, correct?
Not all of them, Your Honor.
All
Some
right.
of them pertain to health projects.
No, I'm talking about the routine maintenance of national roads, the PGN Bridges project, and payment of right-of-way. Correct?
In a sense, they are
Yes, they
routinary,
are.
ordinary expenses.
They
Or
they
expenditures.
pertain to construction projects of the government. Correct?
Infrastructure.
Yes. You can call it that, infrastructure projects. All right. With respect to the PGN Bridges project, per DBM's budget of expenditures and source of financing, FY 2024 report, the PGN Bridges project appears to be fully funded by the Export-Import Bank of Korea in the amount of 174.49 billion plus. Is there an urgency to transfer the PhilHealth funds when the project is already fully funded?
Your Honor, this is a matter really of delving into the wisdom of the legislature in allocating funds.
Yes.
So while
funding a project that is already fully funded under the category of unprogrammed funds.
I didn't quite get the
Programs.
question,
Yes.
Your Honor. Pardon me.
Yes. Export-Import Bank of Korea has loaned the Philippines 174.49 billion plus. Is there an urgency to transfer the PhilHealth funds when the project is already fully funded?
Your Honor, I think one consideration by the Congress in doing so is a determination of when a project is already implementable. So if a project that has already been identified and sufficiently funded is considered to be non-implementable for the given fiscal year, then I think it is the decision of the Congress in the exercise of its policy or wisdom, so to speak, to move it to the unprogrammed appropriations in the meantime.
Yes, all right. So, has the government moved this amount to the unprogrammed funds of the government?
There are so...
This
I'm sorry. Your Honor.
Export-Import Bank of Korea loan, has the government moved it to unprogrammed funds?
We will have to check on
Yes,
that.
please check on that.
Yes, whether that has been actually transferred only or removed altogether.
Yes.
Because there were certain removals made by the Congress in the proposed infrastructure or other projects
How
of the
can
government.
the government have removed this when it is a loan specifically for that purpose?
It is something that can be deferred, Your Honor, even
Yes,
if it's
what
funded.
is the reason for deferring it?
Your Honor, I cannot speculate on the
Correct.
reasons of the
I go
congressman.
now, yes, to my next question. Has the government spent even a single centavo from that loan, considering that the project has not even started?
Well, there is nothing to spend for if the project has not even started, Your
So
Honor.
where is the money?
The money went presumably to the National Treasury for the purpose of using it for projects and programs under the unprogrammed
So we have
appropriations.
unused funds for the project, and yet we still got money from PhilHealth to supplement this fund that has been unused for years.
Not automatically, Your Honor, because even if the funds, even if the sources of funds under special provision, number one, of the unprogrammed appropriations is already there and is ready to be used for the projects under the unprogrammed appropriations, it is still a question of whether the implementing agency is ready to implement that project. So if the implementing agency does not think that it can implement such a project within the given year, then it will not ask for any allocation under the
Yes.
unprogrammed appropriations.
Yes, but aside from the foreign funding from Korea for this project, in 2022, there was additional funding from the GAA for this project in the amount of 50 million in 2022. In 2023, another 57 million. This is over and above the Korea Export-Import Bank of Korea loan. Where did this money go when the project has not even started?
We will check on that, Your Honor, because that is a very specific project which we have not really examined.
Yes,
we're
please
looking
do
at
that.
the totality of all the projects that were defunded or where the allocations have been reduced, and or some projects that had actually been removed from the program appropriations under the NEP, and which may have found themselves in the unprogrammed appropriations.
Yes, Mr. Solicitor General. And based on the special allotment release order, the use of funds for the PGN Bridge project is released on a quarterly basis, showing that the payment of funds is done in phases. More, based on the press release of the local government of Iloilo on the project timeline, the construction period for Section A, which is the 13-kilometer Panay-Guimaras project, is from a third quarter of 2025 up to the fourth quarter of 2028. Given these premises, what is the urgency of remitting the subject funds if the construction of the PG and Bridges project has already been funded and has yet to start in 2025?
Your Honor, the urgency is on the use of these available funds for all the projects listed under the unprogrammed appropriations. There are so many of them. I think 57 different
Yes,
purposes.
and it's one of them. And it's one of them. And it shows that it has had multiple fundings. All right. On maintenance of national roads, which national roads are we referring to?
Your Honor, we can refer to the SARO released by the Department of Budget and Management to determine which particular projects had already availed themselves of funding